Today we will talk about the integumentary system. First we'll see the parts.
So on Blackboard, we had the skeletal tissue practice quiz twice, and we didn't get the, and then we didn't get that one. That practice quiz for the review questions.
Which one?
For the,
Because we didn't finish it after
okay,
we
so
finished, then
okay.
we'll do it.
So after we finish the chapter, then we'll go over the chapter, read the book, then practice. Okay. So the parts of the integumentary system, then we'll see the functions of the integumentary system. The main organ of the integumentary system is the skin. So we'll see the structure of the skin, the layers in the skin. Then we'll talk about the glands in the skin. One layer of the skin is epidermis, and the other layer, inner layer, is the dermis. So we'll talk about those two layers of the skin. Then we'll talk about the water loss through the skin. So the main organ or structure of the integumentary system is the skin that covers the whole body. Accessory structures are here glands of the skin. Remember, not all the glands of the skin, like sweat and sebaceous glands, and nail. So those are the structures of the integumentary system. Functions of the integumentary system. Protection is number one. Your integumentary system protects your body. How? By covering the whole body, right? It protects the internal structures of the body. It separates outside and inside. So, by covering the body. Now, your skin provides three types of protection or barriers. What are those? Chemical protection or barrier, biological protection or barrier, and physical or mechanical protection. Chemical. Skin secretes low pH. Low pH means what? Acidic, right? pH low means what? Acidic. So skin secretes acidic secretion, and that can kill the microorganisms or antigens. So that is chemical. Biological. In your skin, you have phagocytic cells. You know, macrophages, dendritic cells, those are the phagocytic cells in your skin. They do what? Phagocytosis. Engulf the antigens, okay, or enemy that try to invade in the body. So those two types of phagocytic cells are the biological protections or barriers. Then physical. In your skin, you have some chemicals. One important chemical is keratin. It is a highly specialized protein. So keratin is a highly specialized protein that gives the waterproofness of the skin. So the water cannot get into the body through the skin, right? When you go to the swimming pool, sit in the bathtub, right, for a long time, water cannot get into the body through the skin because of that protein, keratin. And another chemical, that is glycolipid, glucose and lipid. That means carbohydrate and lipid together form the glycolipid. Okay? And these chemicals block water and water-soluble substances from entering into the body through the skin, which is very important protection, because you know that water, if you sit in a swimming pool, that water might have other chemicals, right? So that water soluble chemicals cannot also penetrate through the skin because of keratin and glycolipids. So those are three types of protections given by the skin. Another important function is the regulation of body temperature. Your skin has sweat glands, right? When body temperature increases, sweating occurs. To do what? Sweating occurs to lower the body temperature. Make sense? And small amount of water that comes out through the skin by sweating can take a lot of heat out with it, because you know that water has high heat capacity. Do you remember that? We talked about that. So a small amount of water can take a lot of heat out from the body. So lowers the body temperature. When that happens, if you get fever, right? Sweating occurs. When you do exercise, body temperature increases, metabolism increases, right? Sweating occurs to lower the body temperature. That is one way. Another way I mentioned before, when the body temperature increases, the blood flow in your skin, body surface increases. So when more blood flows in your body surface or skin, it can easily get out through the skin. Make sense? So body temperature goes down. Housing cutaneous receptors. Your skin houses receptors for pain, touch, temperature. All those receptors are present in the skin, and because of those receptors you feel these sensations, okay, called cutaneous sensations. Cutaneous means skin, okay? So cutaneous sensations. Metabolic functions. You know that with the help of sunlight, skin produces cholecalciferol. We talked about this before, cholecalciferol, which is an inactive vitamin D, inactive, and your skin produces this, okay? Then this is taken to the kidneys, right? Where you have the converting enzyme that converts the inactive cholecalciferol to active vitamin D, which is called the calcitriol. Okay? So calcitriol is the active form of vitamin D. So you see, if your skin doesn't produce cholecalciferol, then your body will not get calcitriol, which is vitamin D. Okay? Excretion through the skin, through sweating, some toxic chemicals and salt get out from the body, and that's why if you taste the sweat, it's like salty, weird taste. Some nitrogenous waste and salt get out from the body. So those are important functions of your skin. Now, there are two types of skin in your body. One is called the thin skin, and another type is thick skin. Thick skin is only present in your palms and soles. These are thick, okay? And rest part of your body, most part of your body is covered by thin skin, okay? Now, another way we also divide the skin, hairy and non-hairy. Like this is non-hairy skin, right? And this is hairy skin. So that is another way we divide. Both thin and thin skin has two layers. Outer layer is called the epidermis. So these are the layers of the skin, okay? Outer layer is the epidermis, which is actually 20% thickness of the skin. It gives 20% thickness of the skin. And inner layer is the dermis. which gives about 80% thickness of the skin. Okay, now the epidermis, which is the outer layer of the skin, has 4 or 5 layers in it. 4 or 5 layers. Why I said 4 or 5? Because in thin skin you have 4 layers. In thick skin you have 5 layers. Okay? So thin skin epidermis has 4 layers and thick skin epidermis has 5 layers. Now, what are those layers of the epidermis? Remember, I am only talking about epidermis. It has 4 or 5 layers. Let's start from the innermost. A single layer of stem cells. These are the stem cells. Okay? This layer is called stratum basalis. Okay? Stratum basalis. So this is innermost layer. Then you have another layer. This is called stratum spinosum. Why this is called stratum spinosum? If you see the cells have spines. You know, spines are sharp processes, right? Remember that? You saw spines in the bone. So this layer is called stratum spinosum. Okay? Spines. If you see the cells have spikes like this. Okay? Nucleus. So these cells are like that. That's why called spinosum. Okay? Then next layer is a layer of the cells. These cells are filled with granules. Filled with what? Granules. These are the granules. So that's why this layer is called stratum granulosum. Stratum means layer of granular cells. Okay? Stratum granulosum. Makes sense, right? Granulosum. Lot of granules inside the cells. Then you have, so how many layers you got? 1, 2, 3, right? From inside to outside. Then there is a thin layer, and it is a transparent layer, like a glass, also called glassy layer. This is called stratum lucidum. Stratum lucidum. Lucidum means glass. Then the outermost layer is thick, and this is formed by squamous cells. Many layers of squamous cells, flat cells, called stratum corneum. So it is actually stratified squamous. Many layers of flat cells like this. You see? So this is outermost layer of the epidermis called stratum corneum. Stratum corneum. So this is epidermis, this is dermis. This is outer layer of the skin, this is the inner layer of the skin. Make sense? Outer epidermis has how many layers I said? 4 or 5. In thin skin you have 4. In thick skin you have 5. Make sense? Now I showed you how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers, right? So this is thick skin. In thin skin, epidermis, which layer is absent? Stratum lucidum. This one is not present in thin skin. This one is missing. That's why 4 in thin skin.
What was this one?
Lucidum is absent. Okay? In thin skin. That's why thin one has 4 layers. Okay? Now, this outermost layer, which is stratum corneum, which is actually many layers of flat cells, you see? So, that is stratified squamous. And these cells are filled with that protein, special protein called the keratin. So, you remember I told you that keratin is a highly specialized protein that gives what? What type of functions? Anybody? Waterproofness, right? Remember that? So, these cells are heavily filled with that protein, keratin. So, that's why these cells are called keratinized cells. So, squamous cells filled with keratin. That's why these are called keratinized cells. And water cannot pass through this layer. Okay? Now, inner dermis. This part is the dermis, which is much thicker than the epidermis. Okay? And dermis has 2 layers, only 2. Although it is much thicker than epidermis, but it has only 2 layers. Outer layer is called the papillary layer. Papillary layer, and inner layer here is called the reticular layer. If you follow what I am saying, you will get like 90% questions from my lecture. You know it, right? All these things I will ask in the exam. So how good you are following, that is important. Okay, so dermis has how many layers? 2, right? Outer layer is called the papillary. Inner layer is called the reticular. Make sense? Outer layer gives 20% thickness only. And inner layer, reticular layer, gives 80% thickness. That is one thing. Another very important information, definitely I will ask in the exam, that outer papillary layer is loose areolar. How many of you remember this? Loose areolar type connective tissue, remember that? You saw in the, under the microscope, right? Loose areolar type connective tissue forms the outer papillary layer. Inner reticular layer is formed by dense irregular. You also remember this one, right? Dense regular, dense irregular. So this part is dense irregular. So outer part is loose areolar, inner part is what? Dense irregular. Now you tell me which layer should be hard, which one is soft? Inner is soft, inner is hard, right? Dense is hard, I told you. It makes sense, right? Dense is heavily packed, so hard, and loose is soft. Okay? So, when inflammation occurs in the skin, which layer should be affected? What do you think? This one, right? Outer, loose one, soft one. And that is called dermatitis. So, dermatitis is the inflammation of the papillary layer of the dermis. Dermatitis. inflammation of the dermis. But which layer is affected? The outer layer. Okay. Dermatitis affects this layer. This layer is very tough, very strong. Okay. Okay. So those are two layers of the skin. Now, under the skin, you have a layer of fat, adipose tissue. Too much noise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, close this.
So remember one thing. Skin has how many layers? Outer epidermis, inner what? Dermis. 2 layers, right? And under the skin there is a layer of fat or adipose tissue, which is not a layer of the skin. I told you skin has 2 layers, right? This is under the skin, and this layer is called hypodermis or subcutaneous layer. Hypodermis. That means below the dermis. Also called subcutaneous. Sub means under, cutaneous means skin. Cutaneous layer. Same thing, hypodermis or subcutaneous layer, which is actually a layer of adipose tissue or fat. Adipose tissue or fat. Now, this layer has a clinical significance. What is that? You probably know subcutaneous injection. We use subcutaneous injection. Have you seen anybody taking subcutaneous injection? Who take? Diabetic patients, right? Often take subcutaneous injection. Insulin, right? Under the skin. That means you inject insulin into this layer of fat. Now, you tell me, what are the other routes of injection? Intramuscular, right? Very often we give injection into the muscle, and intravenous, into the vein, right? So those are common routes. Intramuscular, intravenous, subcutaneous. Now, why we, use different routes? What do you think? If you give intravenous directly into the blood, right? Direct action, immediate action. Make sense? If you give into the muscle has a lot of blood vessels, right? So intermediate action, not too fast, not too slow. If you give here into the fat has less blood flow. Make sense? So will stay there for a long time. Will slowly enter into the blood. Make sense? Because less blood is going there. So prolonged action. If you want any drug to work for a long time, like 8 hours, 10 hours, or 24 hours, you will prefer this one. Make sense? And we want insulin to work for a long time, right? You don't want to take injection every hour. So once you give, it lasts for several hours, right? So that's why you prefer subcutaneous route. Make sense? For prolonged action. Okay. Now, in your skin, you have glands, sweat and sebaceous glands. You have hair roots and hair follicles. You have receptors. You have blood vessels and tiny muscles. Those are called erector pili muscles. And most of these structures are located in the dermis, in this part, not in the epidermis. Okay? Most of those structures are found in the dermis. So here you see, this is the skin, and this is epidermis, and this is dermis. You see, dermis is much thicker than epidermis. And this is hypodermis, layer of fat. Now, you see, most of the structures that I mentioned are located in the dermis part. Which structures? This is called hair follicle, this is hair root, and that is the shaft of the hair. So, hair shaft, hair follicle, hair root. So, you see, follicle and root are in the dermis. Sebaceous glands, sweat gland. Okay, so two types of glands, sweat gland and what? Sebaceous gland. Which one is attached to the follicle? Sebaceous is attached to the follicle, right? And why? Because the sebaceous glands grow from the follicle. Make sense?
Is that where our hair gets oily?
Second?
Is that where your hair gets oily?
Oily, yes, oily secretion. Sebaceous glands secrete oily secretion. That's why the hair is oily. Yes. So that is important. This gland, sebaceous gland, secretes oil-like secretion. This is sweat gland. You see, it is like a coiled tube-like structure, and this is the duct, and this is the pore. So three parts: sweat gland, sweat duct, and sweat pore. Okay. So through the pore, the sweat will get out. Then you have the blood vessels. You see artery, vein. You have tiny muscles called the erector pili muscle. Now, why you have the muscles, those tiny muscles in the skin? What do you think? These muscles help to erect the hair. Erection, goosebump, erection of the hair. When you get scared, right? Or cold, like hair, erection of hair occurs. What happens, these tiny muscles are attached to the hair root, like this. You see, this is the muscle, this is the tendon attached to the hair root. So what happens, you see, this is the hair lying on the skin, make sense? And the muscle is attached here, okay? So when the muscle contracts, it moves the hair, make sense? So erection of the hair is helped by that tiny muscle, okay? You have nerve endings, you see here, these yellow structures are nerves. So three nerve endings for sensations, okay? Pain, touch, those sensations. So this is the structure of a skin. The model that we have is very similar to this one. 5 layers, I already explained that epidermis has 4 or 5 layers. I did show you here. So just go over those. Now see one thing here. This is the epidermis of a thick skin, and this is the epidermis of a thin skin. Only this part, this is dermis, this is epidermis, okay? So thin skin epidermis, thick skin epidermis here. So you see the difference. In thick skin, stratum corneum, which is the outermost layer, this one, stratum corneum. This layer is much thicker in thick skin. So stratum corneum is much thicker in thick skin. Make sense? If you put side by side this layer, and that actually gives the thickness of the thick skin. So if I ask you which layer gives the thickness, that's the stratum corneum. Clear? But if I ask you which layer is absent in the thin skin, that is this layer, lucida, glass-like transparent layer. So two different things. Lucida has nothing to do with the thickness. Corneum gives thickness. So I'll ask both. Which layer is absent in thin skin? Lucidum. Make sense? But if I ask you which one gives thickness of the thick skin, that's the cornea. Okay, here you see, this is the stratum basalis, also called stratum germinativum. Why this is also called stratum germinativum? Because this layer has stem cells, right? That's why this is called also stratum germinativum. Germinal layer or stem cell layer, same thing, germinal layer or stem cell layer. Okay, this layer. Spinosum. The cells have many spines. You see like this. If you look carefully, you see many spines. Granulosum. You see many granules, dark black granules. Okay, and many layers of flat cells. That's the stratum corneum. Okay. Keratinization. You remember I said that these cells are filled with keratin. That's why these are called keratinized cells. Now, how these cells get filled with keratin, that process is called keratinization. Okay? So here you see what happens. In the epidermis, you have one type of cells. These are called keratinocytes. Okay, so these are keratinocytes. And you have flat cells. These are the flat cells, squamous cells in the cornea. So these are squamous cells. You know, flat cells are squamous cells. These keratinocytes secrete that special protein, highly special protein that is called keratin. That's why these are called keratinocytes. Why? They are called keratinocytes. They secrete keratin. Make sense? Okay. So this keratin then enters into the squamous cells. Make sense? And they get filled with keratin. These squamous cells get filled with what? Keratin. Okay? So these cells are called keratinized cells. So two types of cells, right? These are keratinocytes. If I ask you, keratinocytes do what? Secrete keratin, right? And keratin is what? Highly specialized protein. Very good. And these flat cells get filled with keratin and become keratinized cells. Make sense? So if I ask you in your exam that those cells produce and secrete keratin, those are called what? Keratinocytes. And those flat cells, squamous cells, receive keratin. Those are keratinized cells. Make sense? Good. And this process is called keratinization. I have already talked about two layers of dermis, outer papillary, loose areolar, inner reticular, dense, what? Irregular. Very good. You see here, 20% thickness by papillary, 80% thickness by reticular. Water loss through the skin. If I ask you how you lose water through the skin, by sweating, right? That is the main way. But there is another way. That is called evaporation. Sweating you see, right? When sweating occurs, you see it. But evaporation, you don't see. 24 hours. Small amount of water is leaving through the skin by evaporation. Make sense? That you don't see. So, now you tell me. Sweating, you see, right? And evaporation, you don't see. So, which one is sensible, which one is insensible?
Insensible would be the
Evaporation, right? And sweating is sensible. You sense, you feel, you see, right? So, those are two ways. Through the skin, we lose water in both sensible and insensible ways. Sweating is sensible water loss. Evaporation is insensible water loss. Now, through other systems, we also lose water, right, from the body? Through urine, right? A lot of water gets out through the urine. Is that sensible or insensible? Sensible. You see it, right? You feel that water is leaving the body. You can see that. So that is sensible, right? How about breathing or talking? When you talk, when you breathe, water molecules are getting out. That's why you feel thirsty, right? After you talk, like give a lecture, 1 hour, 2 hours, you drink water, right? Because water leaves through the mouth. When you breathe, water molecules leave. You don't see that, right? So that is sensible or insensible? Insensible. So we lose water from the body both in sensible ways and insensible ways, right? And you now know which ones are sensible, like urination, right? Sweating, those are sensible ways, right? Through the feces, water gets out. So those are sensible. Insensible, breathing, evaporation through the skin, talking, right? Those you don't see, but you lose water. Skin color. This is something interesting, right? So skin color, you know, different races, different people have different colors of the skin. Main pigment that is responsible for the color of the skin is called melanin. Probably you have heard, right? Melanin. Melanin is dark or brown colored pigment in the skin. So if someone has more melanin, right, the skin will be darker. Someone has lack of melanin, skin will be less dark or light or white. Make sense? So that is the main pigment that gives the color of the skin. Now, melanin has an important function. What is that? Melanin in your skin makes a layer which protects your skin against what? UV radiation, sunlight. So, if someone has more melanin, the tissue under the skin is more protected. Make sense? UV radiation will not be able to pass through it easily. So, that is called a shield, melanin shield. Okay? Pigment shield. Keratin. Keratin is present in human skin in a very small amount, not too much, very small amount. In some fruits and vegetables, you have plenty of keratin. The color of keratin is what? Orange, yellowish, red. Make sense? So tell me one fruit or veg that has a lot of keratin. Carrots, right? Orange, right? Oranges. So in some fruits you have plenty of keratin, but in human skin we have very small amount, and mostly in the thick skin of your palm and so. Okay? Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is also responsible for the skin color. How you know that? If someone has anemia, have you heard that? anemia. Hemoglobin is less, right? Low hemoglobin is anemia. And the color of the skin gets pale. Pale color of the skin in anemia. You know that? Okay. So the color of the skin also is contributed by hemoglobin. Makes sense? If you have more hemoglobin in your blood, the color will be reddish. Hemoglobin is red colored pigment, right? If someone has lack of hemoglobin, the color of the skin will be pale. And by looking at the skin color, you can tell, right? That person might have anemia. Another pigment, you can write it down, that is called bilirubin. Bilirubin. Have you heard this? Bilirubin? Yes? No? Okay. What color? You heard it. Say that loud.
What about it?
What's the color of bilirubin?
I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of things wrong.
It causes what? It causes what?
Oh, I don't know. I forgot.
Okay, so those people know bilirubin, they know that bilirubin is responsible for jaundice. Have you heard jaundice? Okay, so if the bilirubin level is high, that causes what? Jaundice. Now you tell me, what's the color of bilirubin? Yellowish, yellow color. So, you know, jaundice is the yellow coloration of the skin and mucous membrane. Yellowish coloration of the skin, right? So, bilirubin is yellow pigment. Everybody has bilirubin. Everybody has what? Bilirubin. But if the concentration is higher than normal, then you see the color of the skin changes. Make sense? When red blood cells are destroyed, bilirubin is produced. And bilirubin gets out from the body through the urine and feces. What's the color of the urine? Slightly yellowish, right? You know that? Because of the bilirubin. It gets out from the body. We know that.
So when the red blood cells what?
When the red blood cells are destroyed,
That causes.
yeah, the hemoglobin is converted to bilirubin. Okay? So red pigment hemoglobin is converted to yellow pigment bilirubin. And in your body, red blood cells are dying all the time, 24 hours, right? Because the lifespan of red blood cell is 90 to 120 days. After that, the cells are dying. So that's why always bilirubin is being produced, right? And getting out through the urine and feces. That's why the color of the urine is slightly yellowish and color of the feces is yellow. Okay, so those are the pigments responsible for the color of the skin. By looking at the color of the skin, you can diagnose some clinical conditions. I already mentioned a couple of those, right? If you see the skin color is pale, that is what? Anemia. Remember that? Hemoglobin is low. Make sense? So low hemoglobin causes anemia, and you can detect by looking at the color of the change of the color of the skin. Is it clear? Okay. Hypertension. If the blood pressure increases, you will see the color of the face of that person changes, particularly the skin of the face, flushed face. Okay, more blood circulates in the face, so redness of the face. Jaundice, I have already mentioned, right? What coloration of the skin? Yellow coloration of the skin due to increased bilirubin in the body. Cyanosis. What is cyanosis? Bluish coloration of the skin. Blue. When that happens? If your breathing stops for a while, right? Yeah, lack of oxygen. That means what? Increase of carbon dioxide in the body. Make sense? So increased carbon dioxide causes cyanosis, bluish coloration of the skin. Okay, so those are the skin colors. Now the glands. In your skin, you have two types of glands: sweat glands and sebaceous glands. And remember, both skin glands are exocrine glands, not endocrine. You know, there are two types of glands in the body: endocrine glands and exocrine glands. Okay? Skin glands are exocrine, both sweat and sebaceous, both. Now, the exocrine glands causes secretion in three ways. I will explain that to you.